Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with some more adventures in locksmithing. This one talking about a job that I just got done doing. Um, Kind of a strange one. I had a lady call me and she wanted me to come out and make a key for a car. However, she was in the hospital, couldn't be out till a couple hours later. Finally, she gets out, she calls me, and I said, well, I'm a little tied up now, but I can be there in an hour. And she said, okay, but please come. So I get out there, and the car looks in pretty bad shape, and I kind of asked some questions because she's in a hospital gown with some, stuff still hooked up to her. Uh, I don't know if she was actually released from the hospital, but she mentioned that she really needed the car because she needed to get back to the hospital in another city. So really strange, but I pulled the trunk lock out. I asked if the key was the same because it's supposed to be. Pulled the trunk lock out, do all that, and it went smoothly until I went to put it in the ignition and it didn't work. So put the trunk lock ball back in, all that, started working on it, looked at the ignition. It wasn't to the same vehicle. One of the big dead giveaways was this is an older vehicle that doesn't have transponder chip, but the ignition that was on there had all the transponder equipment on it. What that means is they probably went to a pick and pull or the auto parts store and they bought a newer ignition, to one a couple of years newer, that still had the basic same mounting pieces so that it fit, but they had changed it to be the one with the chip. Well, of course, that means it's completely different. Unfortunately, it was an active retainer, which means it has to be turned to accessories to get the ignition out without damaging it. So I was going to have to damage the ignition to get it out to make a key for it, which means it would have been garbage at that point and we'd need to replace it. So I kind of gave her the options, told her what there was and what she could do and left her with that. And she seemed a bit concerned. I know she told me that she had scrounged up together the exact amount of money that I was going to charge her for it. And so this was, whatever route we went, it was going to be much more costly. I kind of gave her some advice on, she got the new ignition, how to put it in. Thankfully, the shear head bolts had never been, they'd been modified from the last person that put them on, the replacement, so she was going to be able to get that off with a basic hand tool, nothing too difficult. But yeah, the car was in real bad shape. The whole situation was a little questionable. What was going on there. I know she had said that she had been mugged, and so she had her keys stolen. Now, they were adamant, but the same key worked the door lock as did the ignition. Here's the thing, it was an Acura. On an Acura, on the older cars, and this was Toyota, Honda, but especially Honda products, the older cars had a thing where the more worn out they got, the more key combinations came. That's why in the 80s they became the number one stolen car, and Honda was the last one to fix it. They didn't fix it in the 90s. It wasn't until the 2000s, really 2003, that they fixed it. That's how they became the number one stolen car. Toyota and Nissan, they hit that stuff off in the 90s, fixed that problem. And so I could imagine that they probably, whatever their new ignition key, probably worked in the door too, because they probably could get away with pretty much any shaved down Honda key, getting it to jiggle in that lock. So I made a perfect key for the door and trunk, which worked, but it wouldn't work the ignition, which was newer and replacement for that. So I have no idea. They never called me back. They never got a new one. Sometimes when people are tight on money like that, you never know what solution they end up coming up with. But it was just kind of an all-around strange thing, and it's always good to overview the car and ask questions, because I probably spent a good 40 minutes on this only to find out that I was just wasting my time. Anyways, other than that, I'm having a good day. Hope you are too, and I'll catch you in the next video.